There's something almost poetic about arriving in Ottawa for the first time. As the plane descends, the landscape unfolds like a watercolor painting, a sweep of rivers glinting in soft light, endless forests stretching into the horizon, and at the heart of it all, a city that seems to breathe calm and confidence at once. When you step outside the terminal, the air feels cleaner, sharper, as if the wind itself has traveled from the mountains to welcome you. The hum of the city is gentle here. You can hear the soft chatter of people switching easily between English and French, the faint sound of footsteps on cobblestone, and somewhere in the distance, the bells of the Parliament Clock Tower marking the rhythm of life in Canada's capital. Ottawa doesn't rush to impress you. It lets you discover it, layer by layer, like turning the pages of a story that's been written for centuries but still feels alive. What strikes you first isn't the grandeur of monuments or the bustle of downtown, but a quiet grace. The way morning mist rises from the Ottawa River, the reflection of the Parliament buildings shimmering in the water, or the simple kindness in a stranger's smile when you ask for directions. This city carries both elegance and warmth, a balance that feels rare in a capital. And as you walk along the Rideau Canal, watching cyclists glide past and hearing laughter spill from a riverside cafe, you realize that Ottawa is more than just the seat of power. It's a living mosaic of stories, nature, and humanity. Here, every street corner hums with history, and every sunset feels like an invitation to stay just a little longer. Ottawa sits quietly on the banks of the Ottawa River, a place where two provinces, Ontario and Quebec, meet in a handshake of cultures. It is a city built not for show, but for meaning. From above, it looks like a patchwork of bridges and waterways, its skyline crowned by the copper roofs and Gothic towers of Parliament Hill. Yet beneath that elegance lies a rhythm that feels deeply Canadian, balanced, bilingual, and beautifully open. Standing here, you're literally at the heart of Canada. To the south stretch the rolling farmlands of Ontario, to the north, the rugged hills of Quebec, and right in between flows a river that has witnessed centuries of trade, travel, and transformation. This is where English meets French, government meets nature, and tradition meets the future. Ottawa is more than the capital. It's the meeting point of a country's soul. Unlike Toronto's energy or Montreal's charm, Ottawa carries a quiet authority. It doesn't compete for attention, it earns it through grace. Here, decisions that shape the nation are made in grand stone halls, while just a few steps away, joggers and cyclists trace paths along peaceful waterways. The power and the peace coexist naturally, a rare balance that makes Ottawa feel not just like a capital, but like the conscience of Canada. And perhaps that's what makes it unforgettable. It's not a city that demands your admiration. It's one that earns it softly, through every reflection on the river, every flag that waves atop the Parliament, and every story that begins at its crossroads. Long before Parliament Hill rose above the river, this land belonged to the Algonquin Anishinaabe people. They called it Ottawa, the place of trade, a fitting name for a land that became a crossroads of journeys and exchanges. For centuries, the Ottawa River served as a natural highway, guiding canoes filled with furs, timber, and dreams toward new horizons. The whisper of that history still lingers in the air, carried by the flow of the river that gave the city its name. In the early 19th century, as European settlers pushed inland, the region became a hub of the timber trade. The dense forests of pine and spruce drew lumberjacks and merchants from across Canada and Europe, their saws and axes echoing through the valleys. Out of this frontier energy, a small settlement was born, Bytown, named after Lieutenant Colonel John By, the British engineer tasked with building the Rideau Canal. The canal itself, completed in 1832, was more than just a waterway. It was a lifeline, built to secure a route between Montreal and Kingston in case of conflict with the United States. Today, it's hard to imagine the sweat and sacrifice it took to carve that channel through wilderness and stone. But without it, Ottawa might never have become what it is. When Queen Victoria chose this modest lumber town as Canada's capital in 1857, many were surprised. Why not Toronto or Montreal? Yet her decision proved wise. Ottawa sat at the border of English and French Canada, neutral ground between two worlds. It was a choice of balance, foresight, and unity, a message that continues to define the spirit of the city. And though the sawmills have long fallen silent, the echoes of those who built, traded, and dreamed here still linger in the stones of Parliament Hill and in the quiet current of the river below. Ottawa's story is not one of conquest, but of connection, a city born from cooperation, resilience, and a deep respect for the land that sustains it. Ottawa's rhythm isn't loud. It flows like the river that shapes it, calm yet full of life. The first thing you notice about the people here is their quiet kindness. They greet you with a warmth that doesn't try too hard, a balance between the politeness of the English-speaking world and the charm of French culture. You'll hear conversations that shift seamlessly from hello to bonjour, as if the two languages were simply different melodies in the same song. This bilingual harmony gives the city its character. Walk through any neighborhood and you'll sense it, a coexistence that feels natural. In the morning, cafes serve espresso with croissants alongside maple syrup scones. Street musicians might play a French chanson one moment and a folk tune from Ontario the next. Ottawa is where two worlds don't collide, but blend, gracefully, quietly, and beautifully. The lifestyle here is one of balance. Government workers in suits share bike paths with students carrying sketchbooks and retirees walking their dogs by the canal. Life moves at a measured pace, ambitious but never frantic. On weekends, people escape into the green, jogging along the Rideau Canal, picnicking in Major's Hill Park, or kayaking across the calm river toward the Gatineau Hills. There's a sense of peace that seeps into your soul without you noticing. And yet, despite this calm, Ottawa is never dull. It's a city that loves to celebrate, from the vibrant Canadian Tulip Festival in May, to Canada Day fireworks painting the sky above Parliament Hill, to Winterlude, when the entire city seems to glide over frozen canals and laughter hangs in the air like snowflakes. Each season brings its own heartbeat, and the people here know how to live with it, not against it. In Ottawa, culture isn't locked in museums or theaters. It's in the streets, in the rhythm of footsteps, in the way people pause to admire a sunset over the river. It's a city that teaches you the art of being present, of slowing down enough to notice life unfolding quietly, beautifully, all around you. Every great city tells its story through food, and Ottawa is no exception. Here, flavors travel as freely as people do, across borders, generations, and traditions. A walk through ByWard Market is a journey in itself. The air thick with the scent of baked bread, sizzling meats, and the sweetness of maple syrup that seems to belong to the soul of Canada. If you follow your nose, it'll eventually lead you to BeaverTails, the city's most iconic treat. Imagine a golden, crispy pastry stretched into the shape of a beaver's tail, fried to perfection and dusted with cinnamon sugar. Warm, buttery, and comforting, it's the kind of simple pleasure that reminds you why travel is worth it. Locals say it tastes best when you're holding it with cold hands on a winter afternoon by the frozen canal. Then there's poutine, that beloved Canadian comfort food. Golden fries smothered in gravy and topped with cheese curds that squeak when you bite into them. It's indulgent, yes, but that's the point. You'll find endless variations here, from traditional styles in small diners to gourmet versions topped with smoked meat or truffle oil. Ottawa's culinary scene mirrors its multicultural heart. You can start your morning with a maple latte, have pho or shawarma for lunch, and end the day with fine dining along Elgin Street or a cozy meal in Little Italy. The city's diversity is not just seen in faces, it's tasted in every bite. Even the markets and festivals celebrate this love for flavor. In summer, you'll find farmers' stalls overflowing with local produce, fresh berries, honey, artisanal cheese, while winter brings warm drinks, hearty soups, and comfort baked goods that chase away the cold. Food here isn't just nourishment, it's a language of connection. To eat in Ottawa is to taste its history, indigenous roots, French flair, and immigrant creativity blending into one story. And perhaps that's the secret of its charm. Every meal feels like a warm conversation between the past and the present, seasoned with kindness and shared beneath the northern sky. Ottawa reveals itself best when you walk, when your feet take you from history to nature, from grandeur to intimacy. The first place that captures your eye is Parliament Hill, a masterpiece of Gothic Revival architecture standing proudly over the Ottawa River. Its copper roofs shimmer under the sun, and when the wind blows, The Canadian flag flutters like a heartbeat above the nation. Standing there, you can feel both the weight of history and the lightness of open sky, a rare balance that defines the city itself. Just a short stroll away lies the Rideau Canal, one of the most beloved symbols of Ottawa. In summer, boats glide gently along its calm surface, their reflections mingling with willow trees and bridges. Come winter, it transforms into the world's longest naturally frozen skating rink, stretching for nearly 8 kilometers. Families, couples, and children glide across its icy surface with steaming cups of hot chocolate in hand. It's not just an activity, it's a tradition, a rhythm of life. Beyond these famous sights, Ottawa's beauty hides in quieter corners. Wander into ByWard Market, where old brick buildings now host artisan shops, cozy cafes, and the pulse of local life. The smell of roasted coffee mingles with laughter and street music. Just around the corner, a tiny alley reveals walls covered in murals, bursts of color telling stories of the city's artists and dreamers. If you cross the Alexandra Bridge, you'll find yourself in Gatineau Park, a vast green wonderland just 15 minutes from downtown. In summer, it's a paradise of hiking trails and lakes that mirror the clouds. In autumn, the hills ignite with fiery reds and golds that seem to set the world ablaze. Few capitals in the world can boast such wild beauty right at their doorstep. But perhaps the true charm of Ottawa lies in its smaller discoveries. That riverside cafe where a musician plays softly on a Sunday morning, or the National Gallery of Canada's glass tower reflecting sunset like a crystal flame. It's in those unexpected details where Ottawa truly speaks, not loudly, but deeply. Ottawa is one of those cities that changes its personality with the seasons, and each version is worth experiencing. The best time to visit depends on what you seek. In May, the city bursts into color with the Canadian Tulip Festival, filling parks and canals with millions of blooms gifted long ago by the Netherlands. Summer brings long golden days perfect for cycling, kayaking, or simply wandering through green parks under open skies. Autumn, though, might be the city's finest hour. Crisp air, maple leaves glowing red and amber, and the scent of wood smoke drifting through neighborhoods. And then winter arrives, turning Ottawa into a snow globe capital, where you can skate on the frozen Rideau Canal under strings of twinkling lights. Getting around is surprisingly easy. The city's layout is compact, with most attractions within walking or cycling distance. OC Transpo buses and the O-Train light rail connect every corner efficiently, and for the adventurous, bike-sharing stations the city from spring through fall. For the best experience, stay near downtown or ByWard Market, close enough to walk to the canal, Parliament, and most museums. Budget-wise, Ottawa sits comfortably in the middle for travelers. Expect to spend around 150 Canadian dollars, 170 a day, including lodging, food, and transportation. Street food and market stalls offer affordable meals under 15 Canadian dollars, while mid-range restaurants range between 25 Canadian dollars, 40 per person. If you're traveling in winter, book accommodations early. The skating season draws visitors from all over the world. The city is safe, clean, and welcoming, but the weather can be tricky. Always dress in layers. Mornings may start crisp and cool, while afternoons turn warm before the chill returns at sunset. Summers are sunny but not too hot, while winters demand good boots, gloves, and a sense of adventure. Don't worry. Even in freezing temperatures, locals remain cheerful, greeting strangers with smiles that seem to melt the cold. For travelers who love genuine experiences, remember this: Ottawa rewards curiosity. Talk to local shop owners at ByWard Market, rent a kayak for an hour on the canal, or join a free walking tour around Parliament Hill. It's a city that feels less like a destination and more like a conversation, one that keeps unfolding with every corner you explore. As the sun slips behind the hills and the last light fades over the river, Ottawa transforms. The pace slows, the crowds thin, and a kind of quiet elegance settles over the city. The copper roofs of Parliament Hill glow softly against the deep blue sky, their reflections shimmering across the calm surface of the Ottawa River. Streetlights flicker on one by one, painting golden halos along the cobblestone paths and the iron bridges that span the canal. At night, the city seems to breathe differently, slower, deeper. On Elgin Street, music drifts out of bars and bistros, the rhythm of jazz blending with laughter and clinking glasses. In the ByWard Market district, patios buzz with soft conversation as locals gather for a late-night drink, their faces illuminated by the warm light of string bulbs overhead. There's an intimacy here that daytime doesn't quite capture, a sense of community that glows as brightly as the lights that line the canal. Down by the Rideau Canal, couples stroll hand in hand, their reflections walking beside them on the water. Cyclists glide silently by, the sound of their tires whispering against the pavement. The air smells faintly of wood smoke and roasted coffee from the cafes that stay open late. In winter, the canal sparkles under 1,000 lights, and you can hear the laughter of skaters echo through the night air. It's pure magic, simple, human, and fleeting. If you climb up Nepean Point or cross the Alexandra Bridge after dark, the view is breathtaking. The city stretches like a constellation, Parliament glowing at its heart, the river like a silver ribbon winding through. You might find yourself standing there in silence, realizing how a capital built for government can feel so profoundly human when night falls. Ottawa by night isn't about noise or spectacle. It's about stillness, the kind that lets you hear your own thoughts, the kind that makes you fall quietly in love with a city. And as the lights shimmer on the water and the wind carries the faint hum of life, you understand. This city doesn't sleep, it dreams. Every city has its secrets, and Ottawa hides them quietly, like treasures waiting for curious travelers to uncover. One of the most charming is that the name Ottawa itself comes from the Algonquin word Odawa, meaning to trade. Long before the first parliament was built, this was a gathering place for merchants and travelers, where goods and stories flowed like the river itself. In many ways, that spirit of exchange still defines the city today, where cultures, languages, and ideas meet as naturally as water and wind. Perhaps the most beloved fact about Ottawa is its winter wonderland transformation. Each year, when the temperature drops and the Rideau Canal freezes, the city opens what the Guinness World Records once called the longest naturally frozen skating rink in the world. Stretching nearly 8 kilometers, it becomes both a playground and a pathway. Children skating to school, workers gliding to the office, and tourists trying not to fall as they laugh into the cold air. Vendors even set up small kiosks on the ice, selling hot chocolate and freshly fried BeaverTails. It's one of those rare places where daily life feels like a celebration. Then there's the tulip story, one that blossoms with history and gratitude. During World War II, the Dutch royal family sought refuge in Canada. And when Princess Margaret was born in Ottawa in 1943, the Canadian government temporarily declared her hospital room international territory so she could be born on Dutch soil. After the war, the Netherlands sent thousands of tulip bulbs to Canada as a symbol of eternal friendship. Today, over 1 million tulips bloom each spring, painting the city with color and memory. There's also a quiet humor in how Ottawans embrace their seasons. Locals joke that they experience 5: winter, spring, construction, fall, and more winter. But behind the laughter lies resilience, a love for life that adapts gracefully to whatever nature brings. They'll skate, garden, or barbecue in the snow, and somehow, it all feels completely normal. Ottawa may not shout for attention, but in its stories, ancient and modern, joyful and humble, you find the essence of Canada itself, a nation that values kindness over grandeur and community over noise. As your time in Ottawa draws to a close, it's not the monuments or museums that stay with you, it's the feeling. That quiet calm of the river at dusk, the laughter echoing over the canal, the soft glow of streetlights on cobblestones after a light snowfall. Ottawa leaves an impression that's not loud or fleeting, but steady, like the warmth of a cup of coffee between your hands on a cold morning. It's a city that doesn't demand to be photographed. It invites you to simply be there, to walk without hurry, to listen without noise, to notice the small, beautiful things that make up daily life. Maybe it's a tulip swaying gently in the spring breeze, or the way strangers greet each other with genuine kindness. Maybe it's the harmony of 2 languages spoken in one heartbeat, or the echo of skates carving through ice as the city exhales in winter's breath. Ottawa reminds you that beauty doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it hums through the rustle of leaves along the canal or glows in the reflection of Parliament Hill at sunset. And in those quiet moments, you realize this city isn't just Canada's capital. It's a reflection of what makes Canada, grace, diversity, peace, and quiet strength. So as you pack your bag and take one last look at the skyline, the river shining below, the towers standing tall, carry that stillness with you. Because Ottawa isn't a place you leave behind. It's a feeling you take with you wherever you go. And if this journey has made you curious, if you want to keep discovering more cities with soul, more stories that move beyond maps, subscribe and join me on the next adventure. Every week, we travel to a new corner of the world, and each time, we find something extraordinary in the ordinary. This is my city journey, and our next story is just beginning.